All right, today we are going to talk about a patient who at 85 years old looks 50. And this is impressive, folks. What is impressive isn't just the fact that she looks great at 85, but the fact that she is so mobile, she is active, and she is living life to the fullest. But the real question is this: how can you, right? How can you at 85 look like you are 50? And we're going to talk about why she looks younger, but I'm going to give you some tips on how you can look younger. But folks, this isn't about just how you look. This is about your activity level. It's about your ability to live and to make the most of your days. And as you can see from the picture here on the left, Maggie White is 85 years old and she is quite healthy. But we are also going to talk about another patient who is older than 60 that, in my opinion, looks absolutely wonderful for her age. And this patient, too, is very active. And her and Maggie have many similarities, but at the same time, they also have some differences. And I am going to talk about Maggie in a way that other folks have not been chatting about, or talk about some things about Maggie that other people have not been addressing. Because I think Maggie's longevity, I think Maggie's her wellness, I do believe this is related to a carnivore diet, but I think there is much more to the story. And Maggie lives on a farm in Alberta, Canada, and she works raising farm animals, cattle, and things like this. And because of that, she is also very, very active. So not only does she eat well, but she is active. And what is activity? Well, it's exercise, right? And we're going to talk about that a bit and why that is important not only for Maggie, but for you. But if you look at Maggie's picture here, she has quite a nice bicep. And this musculature that she has is not only because of what she does eating wise, but because of how she lives. So we're going to talk about how her activity level, we're going to talk about how her diet affects her cell health. Because if you're new to my channel, folks, you should know I love the cells, I love the mitochondria, I love being alive, and I love wellness. But what I don't like is visceral fat, okay? And Maggie has done one thing exceptionally well at 85 years old. She has managed to maintain her muscle, and if you look at her, she has barely any body fat. And if you don't have much body fat, you also likely don't have a lot of visceral fat. And as you know, visceral fat causes lots of problems. So Maggie lives in Alberta, Canada, and she is a rancher. And if you listen to her, she will tell you she basically eats meat and eggs. Beyond that, she might eat a few vegetables here and there. She doesn't eat a lot of carbs, but mainly she is a carnivore. She eats meat and she eats eggs. And when you eat meat, folks, in medicine, there's a saying, like begets like. And what does that mean? Well, it's simple. If you eat muscle on your body, it will become muscle. And we are supposed to be lions, people. And what do I mean by that? What does a lion eat? It eats other animals, meaning it eats meat. And if you eat like, or if you eat meat, like begets like, meaning if you eat meat, it's muscle. On your body, it becomes muscle. If you eat a pork chop, if you eat a steak, if you eat a piece of fish, it's muscle. So your body will digest it and it will become muscle in your body. Everything else you eat becomes body fat. So Maggie has good musculature at 85 because she mainly eats muscle. And because she eats muscle, her body has a lot of amino acids, and amino acids are derived from protein. And when you eat a diet high in protein and high in amino acids, it does some incredible things throughout your body. It does a few things at the cellular level that are quite incredible. It helps with cell repair, meaning as we age because our cells age, and as our cells age, they become damaged. You get damage to the cell wall, you get damage to the cytoplasm, you get damage to the mitochondria. And protein-based diets that are high in amino acids, actually cause your body to help heal, or it pushes your body to help keep the cells healthy. A high protein diet also has an antioxidant benefit at the cellular level. And how does it do that? Well, amino acids and proteins are essential to keep the mitochondria healthy. And when you have a diet high in protein or high in amino acids, you will have an elevated level of glutathione. And glutathione is essential in the Krebs cycle for the production of ATP, which helps with our energy levels, but it's also essential for cleaning up oxidative damage that occurs within the cell itself. And by decreasing oxidative damage and by helping the mitochondria to produce ATP, you keep the cells healthier. So a diet high in protein, a diet high in amino acids will help your cells to be healthier, which allows you to live longer. And if you are like Maggie and you are 85 and your muscles look good, it's because you have kept the cells of your muscles healthy, which is why your muscles are healthy. So a high protein diet has lots of benefits, folks. It also activates the mTOR, M-T-O-R pathway, okay? And this too allows your body to recover from injury. It allows tissues and cells to recover from injury. And the mTOR pathway also helps with recovery in respect to your muscles will recover from anything that, any damage that occurs, and they will grow larger and healthier if you are exercising and getting a large amount of protein in your daily diet. I tell people in my weight loss programs all the time, losing weight is a good thing, but if you lose weight and you lose muscle, that is not good. We have to work at maintaining muscle. And when you are on a GLP-1 medication for weight loss, you have to be on a high protein diet to maintain muscle mass. And some of the things that Maggie's diet does causes a cellular reaction similar to the reaction you get with a GLP-1 medication. And what do I mean by that? Well, a diet high in protein, a diet low in carbohydrates will also cause your body to be less insulin resistant. If you follow my channel, I tell you all the time that insulin resistance causes elevated glucose levels. Elevated glucose levels can cause diabetes. Elevated glucose levels can damage your cells. So a diet high in protein and low in carbohydrates helps to decrease insulin resistance, which allows your body to use insulin properly and to manage your glucose levels properly. And this results in an environment that is healthy for cellular activity and an environment that will help you to live longer. And there is more, folks. There's always more, and I love the more because high protein diets also cause your body to activate autophagy, right? And what is autophagy? Well, as we age, our cells age. And when a cell ages to a certain point, it becomes broken. It becomes a senescent cell or a zombie cell. And when a zombie cell is sitting there doing nothing, it releases pro-inflammatory molecules that can cause the cells around it to become damaged. So when you eat a diet high in protein, your cells will activate autophagy, which is basically the breakdown of broken cells so that they can be recycled into more useful things elsewhere within the cellular architecture. So autophagy is necessary for longevity. Mitochondrial health is necessary for longevity. Antioxidation type pathways are necessary for longevity. And all of these things can occur when you are on a high protein, low calorie diet, just like Maggie. And I am a fan of the carnivore diet. If you follow my channel, you know that because it works. When I see healthy people, they are typically people that eat lots of protein and not many carbohydrates. Now, I mentioned this other person in the video, and this patient is older than 60. But unlike Maggie, she does not live on a farm. Okay. She also doesn't work, outside in the cold winter weather. She isn't lifting hay bales. She isn't moving feed around. She isn't moving water from point A to point B. In fact, she has a fairly sedentary job that doesn't require lots of physical activity. But what this patient does is she takes the right protocols from a peptide perspective to stay younger, and she lives a healthy life by exercising and eating right. And we're going to get into more details in regard to her specifically in another video at another time. But you don't have to be a farmer to live a longer life. You just have to be a smart person. And what does that mean? Well, a smart person isn't going to eat garbage. And if you're drinking soda, if you're eating ice cream, if you're eating lots of pasta, if you're getting pizza twice a week, if you're doing lots of carbs in your, from a day in and day out, those are going to damage your body, and you are going to live a lesser life and a more unhealthy life. So you have to eat a high protein, low carb diet if you want to live longer, and you have to stay active. And that's exactly what this patient does. She works out regularly, she walks, and she does weight resistance exercise because like Maggie, if she wants to be healthy at 85, she needs to maintain her muscle mass, okay? And you are no different, and I am no different. And if we want to be functional at 85, we have to have muscles to function with. Now, I think Maggie looks wonderful. I do at 85, but I honestly believe a person should look like Maggie when they are 120. In fact, I believe people that are Maggie's age, 85, should have more muscle mass than Maggie. And I think they should, maybe have a little extra weight, but mainly muscle weight. Maggie is thin, and that is good. But if she had a little more muscle mass, she could be even healthier than she is currently at 85. And she can maintain that muscle by exercising more of a structured exercise program where she can focus on multiple muscles in different areas to be more balanced in her overall musculature. I think that would help her to live longer and to be even more functional than she is today. And if you can't exercise regularly, if you can't do a lot of the things that many people need to do to stay active and to stay healthy, you can also use peptides to augment your wellness. And we can use peptides for mitochondrial health, right? MOTC, SS31, NAD. We can use peptides to help with your insulin resistance and to help get rid of visceral fat and to help with body remodeling. And what peptides are those? Well, Tirzepatide, Semaglutide, and Retatrutide, which is coming out soon. So these peptides can help you to live longer and be healthier. And we can also take peptides to get rid of visceral fat and to increase lean muscle mass. And these peptides are Sermorelin, Tesamorelin, CJC1295 with Ipamorelin. So those are my thoughts on Maggie. I think Maggie looks great, but there's always room for improvement. And you too can be Maggie. In fact, if you look at this last picture, this picture is a picture of Ernestine Shepherd. And in this picture in 2014, she was 77 years old. And she looks great. And she has done some amazing things in the bodybuilding world. She is quite accomplished. But why I mention her is she didn't start exercising until she was 50 years old. So I don't care if you're 40, 50, 60, or 70. It's not too late to start exercising. The data is clear. If you exercise, you will live longer. It's that simple. And you will be more functional if you maintain muscle mass. So you have to work hard to maintain the muscle mass. Ernestine Shepherd is incredible, okay? But you are incredible. We all have the ability to be an Ernestine. We all have the ability to be a Maggie White. We all just have to make the right choices. In a weird way, Maggie didn't have to make the choices because she grew up on a farm. So naturally, instead of going to the local grocery store when she was hungry, she probably went out and got some eggs. She probably had some chicken. She probably had some dairy products. She probably had some beef or pork. And this helped her to live the lifestyle that kept her healthy. But unfortunately, because you live in a world where we eat lots of processed foods, we eat lots of unhealthy foods, because of that, you are at risk. So you need to make the choices now to help to help yourself live longer. You need to make the choices now to help keep your cells healthy, and you need to do the right things if you want to live a longer and more prosperous life. So I am going to be back at you soon with a little more on this topic. So please hit the like button and subscribe. I certainly appreciate you, and I'll be back soon. Bye.